The gavel slammed down like a guillotine in the marble-clad boardroom of Hart Capital, sealing Aubrey Hart's fate as the undisputed ruler of Wall Street's shadowed empires. But as the echoes faded and the room erupted in forced applause, her phone vibrated against her thigh, a single, venomous buzz that carried Lena's voice across the line. "I know what you did. And by dawn, the world will too. The fortune you stole from me, from us, is crumbling tonight." Aubrey Hart stood at the head of the polished mahogany table, her hazel eyes scanning the faces of the men and women who had just voted unanimously to extend her contract for another 5 years. She was 38, a force carved from the unyielding stone of New York City's financial district, her warm brown skin glowing under the recessed lights that mimicked the harsh fluorescence of trading floors below. Her curly black hair fell in controlled waves to her shoulders, framing cheekbones sharp enough to cut glass. In her tailored black pantsuit, she embodied power, sleek, unapologetic, and utterly feminine. The room smelled of expensive cologne and stale coffee, the air thick with the residue of deals worth billions. "Thank you," she said, her voice steady as the Hudson on a windless night. "This isn't just about numbers. It's about vision. About building something that lasts beyond the tick of the clock." The board nodded, their smiles as calculated as their portfolios. Victor Lang, the silver-haired veteran from the old guard, raised his glass of untouched scotch. To Aubrey Hart, he toasted, the queen who turned whispers into empires. She allowed herself a small smile, the kind that didn't reach her eyes, and excused herself to the corner office that overlooked the glittering sprawl of Manhattan. The door clicked shut behind her, sealing out the sycophants, and she leaned against the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city's pulse throbbing below like a heart she had long ago learned to ignore. 15 stories up, the world felt conquerable, every light a transaction waiting to be brokered. Her phone buzzed again, insistent, and she pulled it from her pocket. The caller ID read Lena Voss, private. Sacred. The one name that could unravel her in seconds. She answered on the third ring, her thumb hovering like a blade. "Lena," she breathed, injecting warmth into the word. "What's wrong? You sound far away." Lena's voice was a ghost, laced with the faint drawl of her Oregon roots, the one that Aubrey had once found so intoxicating. "I saw the news. Another $1 billion in assets under management. Congratulations, Queen." Aubrey closed her eyes, picturing Lena in their shared apartment uptown, the one with the exposed brick, and the view of the park that they'd fought over for months before deciding to keep it as their sanctuary. Or what was left of it. "It's not just mine. You know that. We built this together." A bitter laugh crackled through the line. "Built? Oh, that's rich. You mean the parts you didn't bury under your name? The algorithms I coded in the dead of night while you schmoozed at galas? The risks I took that you rebranded as your genius?" The words landed like fists, each one bruising the fragile armor Aubrey had forged over years of boardroom battles and whispered slurs. She pressed her forehead to the cool glass, watching a yellow cab snake through traffic far below. "Lena, please. Not tonight. We can talk when I get home." Home. The word hung between them, heavy with the ghosts of tangled sheets and whispered promises. They had met 12 years ago at a tech finance mixer in San Francisco, back when Aubrey was still climbing, a junior analyst with fire in her veins and doubt in her heart. Lena, 29 then, with her wild auburn hair and freckles like scattered stars across her pale cheeks. Had been the wild card, a software engineer from a small firm in Portland, crashing the event on a whim. "You look like you're about to conquer the world or burn it down," Lena had said, sliding onto the barstool next to Aubrey, her green eyes sparkling with mischief over the rim of a gin and tonic. Aubrey had laughed, the sound foreign after a day of being the only woman of color in a sea of khakis and entitlement. "Maybe both. I'm Aubrey Hart." "And you are?" "Lena Voss. And I think you're the most beautiful storm I've ever seen." From that night, it had been a whirlwind. Late-night coding sessions in Lena's cramped apartment overlooking the bay, where Aubrey's financial models met Lena's predictive algorithms in a symphony of data and desire. They had talked for hours about dreams, Aubrey's to shatter the glass ceiling that kept women like her on the outside looking in, Lena's to democratize finance through tech that didn't prey on the vulnerable. In bed, with the fog rolling in off the water, their bodies had spoken what words couldn't, a love fierce and unspoken. Two women navigating a world that still flinched at their touch. But ambition had a price. When Aubrey got poached by a New York firm, Lena followed, leaving her job and her roots behind. They pooled everything, their ideas, their sweat, their secrets into Heart Capital. Lena's proprietary algorithm, a beast that forecasted market shifts with eerie accuracy, became the silent engine. Aubrey fronted it, her face the one on the covers of Forbes and Bloomberg, her story the American dream repackaged for the Instagram age. "We were equals," Aubrey whispered now, her breath fogging the glass. "You were always the heart of it." "The heart?" Lena's voice cracked, and Aubrey heard the unshed tears. "Then why did you file the patents in your name only? Why did you tell the board it was your creation when they asked about the tech? I gave you everything." "Aubrey. My code. My trust. My love. And you turned it into your crown." Aubrey slid down the wall, her pantsuit rumpling against the carpet. The city's hum a distant roar. The memory flooded back the night Shed signed the papers, alone in the office after Lena had fallen asleep from exhaustion. It was practical, Shed told herself. Wall Street ate vulnerability for breakfast, better to shield Lena from the scrutiny, the questions about their relationship that could tank investor confidence. Or so Shed justified it, bearing the guilt like a bad trade. "I did it to protect us," she said. But the words tasted like ash. "Lena, come home. Let me explain." Silence stretched, taut as a wire. Then, softly, "I loved you enough to build an empire with you. But love doesn't rewrite history. Check your email, Aubrey. It's all there, the original code, the timestamps, the emails where you promised we'd go public together. I'm sending it to the SEC, to the Times, to every outlet that ever called you a visionary. By morning, you'll be the villain in your own fairy tale." The line went dead, and Aubrey sat frozen, the phone slipping from her fingers. Outside, the first rain of the night pattered against the windows, blurring the lights into smears of regret. She thought of Lena's face that first morning after, tangled in sheets, her laughter like sunlight breaking through clouds. How had they gotten here? From stolen kisses in conference rooms to this chasm? She forced herself up, smoothing her jacket, and strode back to the boardroom where the celebration lingered like smoke. Victor clapped her on the back. "Another toast? To the future," she replied, raising her glass. But her eyes were on the door. waiting for the storm to break. The hours blurred into a haze of handshakes and hollow compliments. Aubrey played the part the queen, gracious and untouchable until her assistant, Jamal, slipped into the room with a tablet. "Ma'am, you need to see this." The email from Lena stared back at her. Subject: Truth Serum. Attached were files, code repositories dated years before Heart Capital's launch, emails with Aubrey's signature promising equity shares that never materialized, notes on the algorithm's evolution, all credited to Lena Voss. Her hands trembled as she scrolled, the boardroom's chatter fading to white noise. This wasn't just exposure, it was dissection. Every layer of her empire peeled back to reveal the woman she'd become to survive it. Jamal hovered, his dark eyes concerned. "What do? We fight," she said. But the fire in her voice was dim. "Call my lawyer. And get me a car to the apartment." The drive uptown was a gauntlet of rain-slicked streets, the city's neon bleeding into puddles like open wounds. Aubrey stared out the window, replaying their life in fragments. The weekend in the Hamptons where Lena had proposed they go public with their relationship, and Aubrey had deflected with talk of timing. The gala where she'd won Investor of the Year. Lena's hand in hers under the table, a secret anchor in the chaos. By the time the car pulled up to their building, a sleek pre-war on the Upper West Side, the rain had turned torrential. Aubrey dashed through it, her heels clicking on the lobby marble, past the doorman who nodded with his usual deference. The elevator ride was eternal, each floor a reminder of the life they'd curated. Art from Brooklyn galleries, books on shelves that held both their favorites. When the doors opened, the apartment was dark, save for the glow from Lena's study. Aubrey pushed the door open. "Lena?" No answer. But the laptop screen flickered. An unsent draft open. An open letter to the world. Aubrey Hart didn't build Heart Capital alone. "I did. And she left me in the shadows." The words blurred as tears came, hot and unbidden. Aubrey sank into the chair, the scent of Lena's lavender shampoo lingering on the cushions. She had stolen more than code. She'd stolen Lena's place in the sun, all to chase a throne that now felt like chains. Outside, thunder rolled over the city, and Aubrey whispered to the empty room, "I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry." But apologies were currencies Wall Street traded in, and this debt was one she couldn't buy her way out of. Not yet. Dawn crept in like a thief, gray light seeping through the blinds to paint stripes across the hardwood floors. Aubrey hadn't slept. She'd sat vigil in Lena's study, the laptop a cold confessor to her sins. The draft letter remained unsent, a digital sword of Damocles, but the silence from Lena was louder than any accusation. Where was she? The Hamptons safe house? Back to Oregon? To the family farm where she'd once sworn never to return? Aubrey rose, her body aching from the awkward slump in the chair, and padded to the kitchen. The coffee maker hummed to life, its gurgle the only sound in the vast space they'd filled with laughter and arguments over takeout. She poured a mug black. No sugar. The way Lena mocked as her power drink, and scrolled her phone. The first alerts pinged in. Whispers of irregularities at Heart Capital. Anonymous source claims tech theft. Her stomach twisted. It had begun. She dialed Lena again. Voicemail greeting her like an old friend. "It's me. Come back. We can fix this. Please." The plea hung in the ether, and Aubrey set the phone down. Her reflection in the stainless steel fridge, a ghost of the woman who'd faced down hedge fund titans without flinching. Now, cracks spiderwebbed her facade vulnerability she couldn't afford. A knock at the door jolted her. Through the peephole, Jamal's face, etched with worry. She let him in, and he thrust a tablet under her nose. It's everywhere. Twitter. CNBC Premarket. They're calling for an investigation. Aubrey scanned the headlines, her pulse sinking with the city's awakening roar. Show me the worst. He pulled up a thread from a finance influencer. Hart isn't a visionary, she's a vampire. Sucked the life out of her partner's work and left the corpse. Wall Street, which, the word stung. But beneath the vitriol lay truth. Aubrey handed the tablet back. Get the PR team on damage control. Spin it as a lover's quarrel gone public. Emphasize collaboration. Jamal hesitated, his brown eyes searching hers. A lover's. Ma'am, if this goes south, it won't just be the firm. It's you. Out there. She met his gaze, the weight of their shared history pressing in. Jamal had been with her from the start. A queer kid from Brooklyn who'd seen her through the coming-out scandals and the microaggressions disguised as mentorship. He knew about Lena. The late-night calls. The way Aubrey's voice softened on those lines. I know, she said softly. But queens don't fall without a fight. He nodded, squeezing her arm before leaving. And Aubrey turned to the window. The skyline a jagged crown against the paling sky. She needed to find Lena. To bridge the gulf before the world tore it wider. The drive to the Hamptons was a blur of highway and heartache. The Mercedes eating miles under stormy skies. Aubrey gripped the wheel. Memories unspooling like film reels. Their first real fight had been here. 3 years in. Over a merger that pitted ethics against profit. Lena had paced the deck, her sundress whipping in the wind. This isn't us, Aubrey. We're supposed to change the game, not play by their rules. And Shed pulled Lena close, kissing away the anger, promising reform. But promises were paper in the face of quarterly reports. And the compromises had piled up like debt. The safe house, a modest cottage off the dunes, appeared through the mist, its shutters drawn like closed eyes. Aubrey parked and approached on foot, the sand gritty under her boots, rain mingling with tears she didn't bother wiping. Lena, she called, knocking. The door creaked open unlatched and she stepped inside. The air stale with disuse. In the living room, Lena sat on the sofa, knees drawn up, her auburn hair tied back in a messy ponytail, freckles stark against skin paled by exhaustion. She looked up, green eyes red-rimmed, and the sight cracked something deep in Aubrey. You came, Lena said. No warmth, just weary surprise. Where else would I go? Aubrey crossed the room, stopping short of the coffee table littered with wine bottles and takeout containers. Talk to me. Lena laughed. A hollow sound. Talk? After 12 years of you talking over me? Fine. You built your empire on my back. Aubrey. That algorithm wasn't some eureka moment in your ivory tower. It was me. In our old apartment in the Mission. Debugging lines while you slept. I trusted you with it. With me. And you erased me. Aubrey sank to the floor, cross-legged like they used to do during all-nighters. I was scared. Wall Street. It's a machine that chews up anything soft. Our relationship. Your credit, it would have been ammunition. They'd have painted you as the pretty face behind the throne. Or worse, questioned your merit because of us. So you painted me out entirely? Lena's voice rose, trembling. I woke up one morning to find the patents filed. My name scrubbed. You said it was temporary. A shield. But temporary became forever. And I became your shadow. The rain drummed on the roof, a relentless percussion to their unraveling. Aubrey reached for Lena's hand, but she pulled away, the rejection a physical ache. I loved you too much to lose you to this, Aubrey whispered. Every award, every deal I closed, I saw your code running beneath it. You were the genius, Lena. I was just the mask. Lena stood, pacing to the window where waves crashed like accusations. Love? This isn't love, it's possession. You possessed my work, my heart, and now the world's seeing the receipts. I hit send last night. It's done. Aubrey surged up, grabbing her arm. No. We can retract it. Lawyers. Indeed. Lena spun, eyes blazing. Retract the truth? That's your answer to everything, bury it under legalese. But this is bigger than us now. Women like me queer. From nowhere towns we get erased every day. I won't let you do it to me. The words landed, and Aubrey staggered back, the room spinning. She saw it then, the pattern, her mother's warnings in Chicago, about climbing without claws, the mentors who praised her hustle but never her heart. Shed internalized it all, building walls so high Shed locked out the one person who saw her whole. I'm sorry, she said again, meaning it deeper than before. Tell me how to make it right. Lena softened, just a fraction, crossing to her. You start by listening. Really listening. Not to the boards or the headlines, but to me. To what we could have been if you trusted. They stood inches apart, the air charged with the electricity of old desires. Aubrey cupped Lena's face, thumb tracing a freckle. I want that. Real and raw. Lena's breath hitched, and for a moment, she leaned in, lips brushing Aubrey's in a ghost of a kiss. Then she pulled back, shaking her head. Too late for sparks. Aubrey. The fire's out. But as Aubrey drove back to the city, the Hamptons fading in the rear view, she felt a flicker not of hope, but of resolve. The exposure was a wound, but wounds scarred, and scars told stories of survival. Back in Manhattan, the office was a war room. Phones rang off hooks. Reporters camped outside, and Jamal met her at the elevator with a stack of briefs. SEC's involved. Stocks down 15% pre-open. Aubrey nodded, shedding her coat like snakeskin. Get Lena on the line with our counsel. We'll offer a settlement, equity, public credit. He raised an eyebrow. And if she says no, then we burn it down together, she replied, striding to her desk. But first, I need the original files. All of them. As she dove into the archives, pulling up the buried emails, the algorithm logs, Aubrey felt the stirrings of something new, not defense, but reckoning. The queen was dethroned, but from the ashes, perhaps a woman could rise. The day wore on in a frenzy of calls and crises. Victor Lang cornered her in the hall, his face thunderous. This witch hunt, it's personal. Who's the source? Someone I loved, Aubrey said flatly. And trusted. He snorted. Love. That's for weekends. Fix this, or we're pulling the plug. She met his stare. Unflinching. Then pull it. Heart Capital was built on more than your votes. Alone again. She texted Lena. I'm pulling the files. Full credit. Retroactive. Your name on everything. Come back. Fight with me. Hours passed. No reply. Dusk fell, painting the office in bruised purples, and Aubrey lingered at her desk, the city a canvas of lights below. She remembered their anniversary in Austin, a spontaneous trip to escape the grind, Lena's hand in hers as they danced in a dive bar, the world narrowing to just them. That was the love shed betrayed, piece by quiet piece. But betrayal had a mirror, and now it reflected back, demanding she face the woman in it. A buzz, her phone. Lena's text. Not fighting your war anymore. But I'll watch you win yours. For both of us. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was a thread. Aubrey clutched it, stealing for the battles ahead. The rain outside, a baptism for the woman she might yet become. The SEC summons arrived at 7 a.m. A crisp envelope slipped under her door by a courier who vanished like smoke. Aubrey read it over breakfast, untouched toast and cooling coffee, the words blurring into legalese, threats of fines, injunctions, possible criminal charges. Her empire, once a gleaming monolith, now teetered on the edge of a chasm dug by her own hand. She dressed methodically, a navy sheath dress that hugged her curves without apology, heels that clicked authority, and a single pearl necklace from her grandmother in Chicago, a talisman against the storms of ambition. Downtown, the Heart Capital Tower loomed, its glass facade reflecting a city abuzz with her downfall. Protesters gathered at the plaza below, signs bobbing, Queens fall, workers rise in credit where do was not heart. Jamal waited in the lobby, his suit rumpled from an all-nighter. PR's drafting a statement. Full admission. Joint credit. But the board spooked. Emergency meeting in 10. Aubrey nodded. Her hazel eyes steel. Let them squirm. The boardroom was a coliseum of glares and folded arms. Victor Lang drummed his fingers on the table, his scotch from last night replaced by black coffee. This is suicide. Aubrey. Admitting theft? We'll be hemorrhaging clients by lunch. It wasn't theft. She corrected, taking her seat at the head. It was oversight. A partner's contribution, undervalued in the heat of growth. Lena Voss gets her due, and we move forward stronger. Transparent. A murmur rippled. The younger board member, Sofia Reyes, a sharp Latina from Miami with a tech background, leaned forward. Transparency. Bold. But if she sues, then we settle generously, Aubrey said. Equity. Royalties. She's not the enemy. Victor barked a laugh. Your bedmate turns Judas, and you play the martyr? Wake up. She's bleeding you dry. The word bedmate landed like a slap. The room's homophobia, a subtle undercurrent they'd all pretended wasn't there. Aubrey's jaw tightened. Call her what you want. She's the reason this firm exists. Without her code, we're just another brokerage peddling hunches. Sophia nodded subtly. A quiet ally. Votes? The tally was close 6-4 in favor of the admission. With conditions. A cap on Lena's payout. No public mea culpa from Aubrey. She agreed. The compromise a bitter pill. But progress nonetheless. Outside. The press swarmed as she emerged. Heart, is it true you stole from your lover? A microphone thrust forward. The reporter's eyes hungry. Aubrey paused. Rain from last night leaving the air crisp. No theft. A partnership. Long overdue for recognition. Heart Capital honors its foundations. Today. We amend that. Flashes popped. Questions overlapping. But she pushed through to the car. Jamal at her elbow. Solid, he said as they pulled away. Humanizing. Necessary, she murmured. Scrolling to Lena's number. Statement incoming. Your terms? The reply came swift. Saw the clip. Cute spin. Terms, 40% equity. Board seat. And you in therapy. Alone. Aubrey exhaled. A laugh bubbling up despite the ache. Therapy. The one thing Chet always dodged. Claiming boardrooms were her couch. Fine. But you join. Couples. If you'll have me. Ellipsis danced. Then Portland. Meet me here. We talk real. Portland. Not Oregon the city. But the town? No. The message pinned a cafe in the Pearl District. Neutral ground. Away from New York's claws. The flight west was a red-eye purgatory. Aubrey nursing a gin in first class. The engine's hum lulling her into fragmented dreams. She saw them young. In that San Francisco bar. Lena's fingers tracing patterns on her palm under the table. You make me believe in forever. Aubrey had whispered. Drunk on possibility. Forever had morphed into mergers and milestones. Love subordinated to ledgers. Now, with the plane banking over the Cascades, she wondered if ruins could rebuild. Portland greeted her with drizzle and evergreens. The air scented with coffee and damp earth, a balm to her city-scarred lungs. Cafe. A cozy nook called the Daily Grind. Buzzed with freelancers and locals. Its walls lined with local art. Lena sat in the corner. Nursing a latte. Her auburn hair loose. Wearing jeans and a flannel that screamed Pacific Northwest roots. Aubrey approached. Heart hammering. Mind if I join? Lena gestured to the chair. Eyes guarded. You flew commercial. Progress. Aubrey sat. Ordering an Americano. Had to. Private jets feel like excess now. They sipped in silence. The patter of rain on the awning a buffer. Finally, Lena spoke. The statement's good. But it's words. What changes? Me? Aubrey said. Everything. I replayed all the patents. The press releases. I told myself it was strategy. But it was fear. Fear of losing control. Of us being seen as less because we're us. Lena's gaze softened. Tracing Aubrey's face. Two women in power. That's still radical. But erasing me? That hurt deeper than any boardroom slight. Aubrey reached across. Fingers brushing Lena's. I know. And the exposure it's freeing you. Isn't it? From my shadow. A small smile. Maybe. Got offers already. Tech startups sniffing around. But I missed the us part. The late nights. The way you'd hum off-key while reviewing spreadsheets. Aubrey laughed. Genuine. The sound warming the space between them. I miss your terrible puns. And the way you'd steal the covers. The air shifted. Charged with memory. Lena leaned in. Their knees touching under the table. One step at a time. Therapy first. Then. See. They walked the Pearl District after. Arms brushing. The city's vibe a gentle contrast to Manhattan's grind. Boutiques spilled onto sidewalks. Food carts wafted savory scents. And for a moment, Aubrey felt unmoored, not queen, but woman. Hand in hand with the one who'd always grounded her. Back in New York 2 days later. The scandal simmered but didn't boil over. The admission press release landed with a thud. Stocks dipping then stabilizing as clients praised the ethics pivot. Victor grumbled but stayed silent. Sophia emerging as a quiet champion. Aubrey cleared her schedule for the first therapy session solo. As promised, a nondescript office in Midtown with a therapist named Dr. Ellis. A black woman in her 50s with kind eyes and no nonsense. Why now, dear? Ellis asked, settling into her chair. 'Cause I almost lost everything, Aubrey said. And realized I'd lost myself first. They unpacked it slowly, the Chicago girlhood. Fatherless and fierce. The Yale undergrad years dodging frat boys and faculty doubt. The love for Lena. A revelation and a risk. Tears came unbidden. Cathartic. As Aubrey voiced the unvoiced, the loneliness of the throne. Good start, dear. Ellis said at session's end. Bring her next time. Aubrey texted Lena from the elevator. Survived. Your turn. Reply booking flights. Us against the shrink. Weeks blurred into a rhythm of reckoning. Joint sessions in Dr. Ellis' office, where they dissected betrayals like surgeons. Laughter mingling with sobs. Publicly, Aubrey testified before the SEC. Lena at her side. Their hands clasped under the table, a quiet defiance. No charges. Just restitution and reforms. One night, post-session, they wandered Central Park. Autumn leaves crunching underfoot. Lena stopped by the Bethesda fountain, pulling Aubrey close. Forgive you, she whispered. Not all at once, but enough. Aubrey kissed her then, slow and deep, the city fading to a hum. The fortune was mending, but the heart that beat beneath it was new. Yet shadows lingered. A call from Victor, whispers of a shareholder suit. They want your head. Aubrey hung up, turning to Lena. Round 2? Lena grinned. Always. Winter clamped down on New York like a vice. Snow blanketing the streets in deceptive purity, while the shareholder suit festered in court filings. Aubrey and Lena's reconciliation was a fragile bloom, nurtured in therapy and tentative date nights stolen from depositions and debug sessions. But the past, like frost, crept in through cracks, threatening to shatter the thaw. Dear. Ellis' office became their confessional. The room with its potted ferns and leather chairs, a neutral zone where raw edges dulled. One session. Lena arrived late. Cheeks flushed from the cold. Her coat dusted white. Traffic, she muttered, shedding layers. Aubrey watched her, noting the shadows under her eyes, the telltale sign of late nights coding for her new venture. A fintech nonprofit aimed at underserved communities. You're pushing too hard. Lena met her gaze. Defensive. Someone has to. While you're playing defense in suits worth my rent. Dear. Ellis leaned forward. Her voice even. What's underneath that? Lena, the injustice. Lena's hands clenched. Aubrey gets to apologize and keep the crown, while I rebuild from scraps. It's not fair. Aubrey reached for her, but Lena recoiled. Fair. None of this was. But we're here now. The therapist nodded. Fairness is a myth in love and business. Focus on equity, what you build next. Together or apart. The words echoed as they left. The elevator descent, a metaphor for the drop in Aubrey's gut. Outside, snow swirled, and Lena slipped her hand into Aubrey's glove. I'm not leaving. Just processing. They walked to a nearby bistro, steam fogging the windows, ordering fondue and wine to chase the chill. Conversation meandered to safer ground. Lena's nonprofit pitch. Aubrey's plans to diversify Heart into ethical AI. You could join. Lena said over her second glass. Eyes bright. Use your platform for good. Aubrey hesitated. The offer a bridge she longed to cross. I'd like that. But the boards. Screw the boards. Lena's foot nudged hers under the table. Playful. Queens make their own rules. The flirtation sparked. And that night in the apartment, they tumbled into bed, rediscovering rhythms lost to ambition. Lena's touch was tentative at first, then fervent, mapping Aubrey's body like code she knew by heart. Afterward, tangled in sheets, Aubrey traced Lena's spine. Stay forever this time. Lena propped on an elbow, auburn hair cascading. Forever's a contract. Renew it daily. But dawn brought reality. Jamal's call at 6 a.m., subpoena for internal emails. They're digging for more dirt. Aubrey groaned, rolling away from Lena's warmth. On it. The office was a bunker. Lawyers poring over documents like archaeologists. The suit, led by a consortium of minor shareholders, alleged not just misattribution but fraud, systemic deception to inflate stock values. Victor was behind it. His proxies clear in the filings. He's avenging his pride, Sophia said over conference line, her voice crackling from Miami. Wants you out. Aubrey paced her office, skyline a frozen tableau. Then we expose him. His off-books deals. The ones I buried to keep peace. Sophia whistled. Mutually assured destruction. Necessary. Aubrey echoed her earlier mantra. She flew to Miami that week, Lena insisting on tagging along for moral support. The city's heat was a shock after New York's bite. Palms swaying like fans at a trial. Sophia's condo overlooked Biscayne Bay. And over conch fritters on the balcony. They plotted. Victor thinks he's chess master, Aubrey said, sketching timelines on a napkin. But he's checkers. We leak his emails anonymously, timed with our countermotion. Lena sipped her mojito. Thoughtful. And the human cost? Hell, drag our relationship through the mud. Aubrey met her eyes, the bay glittering behind. Let him. We're unbreakable now. The leak dropped mid-flight back. Aubrey's phone exploding with notifications. Victor's deals exposed insider trades head pinned on juniors. Tax evasions dressed as philanthropy. The Times ran it front page. Heart capital shakeup. Old guard under fire. Victor called. Voice venom. You bitch. This ends us both. No. Aubrey said calmly. Just you. The suit crumbled days later. Plaintiffs folding under the counterweight of scandal. Victor resigned in disgrace. Sophia ascending to chair. Aubrey celebrated with Lena at a quiet jazz club in Harlem. Sax notes weaving through smoke. To new queens. Lena toasted. Clinking glasses. To Aubrey corrected. Kissing her knuckles. But euphoria was fleeting. Lena's nonprofit launched to fanfare. Her TEDx talk on equitable tech going viral. Offers poured in Silicon Valley headhunters. DC policymakers. One evening, over pad thai in the apartment, she broached it. I got an invite to Stanford. Guest lecture series. Month-long. Aubrey's fork paused. Great. You deserve it. Lena searched her face. Come with, or. They were hung. Heavy. Aubrey forced a smile. Go. Shine. Alone that night, Aubrey wandered the apartment, fingers trailing bookshelves filled with their joint inscriptions. Lena's absence, even temporary, echoed the old voids. Therapy caught it next session. Fear of abandonment? Dear. Ellis probed. Survival instinct. Aubrey admitted. I push away before being pushed. Work on it. The therapist advised. Vulnerability is your strength now. Aubrey tried emails to Lena. Laced with humor. Survived without your cover stealing. Miss you. Replies came warm but sparse. Stanford consuming her. Then, a voicemail mid-March. Lena's voice tentative. Aubrey, we need to talk. In person. Something came up. The something was a pregnancy test positive. From a one-night blur during freshman year at Reed College. A donor egg and surrogate arrangement Lena had kept secret, fearing judgment in their high-wire world. A child? Aubrey stared at the phone in the airport lounge. En route to Palo Alto. The revelation was a bomb, reshaping everything. She found Lena in a campus cafe. Sunlight slanting through oaks. You're having a baby? Adopting? Technically. The child's 3 months old. Surrogate delivered last week. I didn't tell because. The chaos. Aubrey sat. Stunned. Why now? Lena teared up. 'Cause I want family. Real. Messy. And I want you in it. If. The if was a precipice. Aubrey took her hand. I do. But scared. Of failing. Like I did with us. Then fail forward. Lena said. Together. They flew back with the baby, a girl named Eloan. Tiny fists waving in her car seat. New York thawed into spring. Cherry blossoms framing their new chapter. Aubrey rearranged her life board meetings via Zoom. Nursery in the spare room. Victor lurked in shadows. A final jab, a tabloid hit piece. Hart and Voss, power couple or power grab. They ignored it. Focusing on Eloan's first smile. Lena's laughter in the kitchen. But cracks widened. Lena's nonprofit demanded travel. Aubrey's reforms congressional hearings. Date nights became duties. Touch is obligatory. One night, argument erupted over a missed flight. You chose DC over us, Lena accused. You chose the road over home, Aubrey shot back. Words like knives, drawing blood. Dear. Ellis mediated, patterns repeating. Break them. They did. Haltingly summer in Vermont. A cabin by a lake. Days swimming with Aloan. Nights by firelight. Bearing souls. I almost lost you twice, Aubrey confessed. Stars wheeling overhead. Won't again. Lena curled into her. Then don't. Fall brought equilibrium. The suit dismissed. Heart Capital reborn under joint leadership. Aubrey keynote at Pride. Lena at her side. Aloan on her hip. The crowd cheered. A chorus of acceptance. But autumn winds carried whispers a rival firm poaching talent, using their story as cautionary tale. Aubrey felt the old paranoia stir. Stay vigilant, she told herself. Queens guard their realms. Summer's idyll in Vermont lingered like a half-remembered dream, but September hurled them back into the fray with the subtlety of a market crash. Heart Capital's lobby thrummed with new hires. The air scented with fresh paint and ambition. But Aubrey sensed the undercurrents, whispers in the break room. Sidelong glances at her and Lena's shared office. The rival firm, Apex Ventures, had launched a whisper campaign, poaching 3 key analysts with promises of drama-free cultures and fat bonuses. Aubrey reviewed the exit interviews in her office, the Hudson glittering mockingly below. They cited instability, she muttered to Jamal, who perched on her desk with a tablet. Your instability, he clarified gently. The Vosshart saga. People love the romance, but fear the fallout. She rubbed her temples, the weight of Aloan's teething cries from last night echoing in her skull. Then we show stability. Joint town hall. Lena and me. Full transparency. Jamal nodded. Typing notes. Risky, but on brand. Lena arrived at noon. Aloan strapped to her chest in a carrier. The baby's gurgles a counterpoint to the tension. Town hall? Bold. Last time we did public, it was SEC Theater. This is us, Aubrey said, pulling her close for a quick kiss, mindful of the glass walls. Proving we're solid. Lena's green eyes searched hers, freckles dancing in the light. For them. Or us. Both. The town hall packed the auditorium. Employees in rows like jurors. Aubrey and Lena stood side by side at the podium, Aloan napping in a bassinet nearby. A prop, but a real one. Aubrey spoke first. Voice steady. We've weathered storms. Scandals. Suit. Secrets unearthed. But from that rubble, we've built something truer. Lena's vision powers our tech. My grit steers the ship. Together. With our daughter. We're family. And this firm is ours. Lena took the mic, her drawl softening the edges. I came from a nowhere town in Oregon, coding dreams in a barn. Aubrey gave me a canvas. We painted bold, sometimes messy. But mess makes art. Join us in the next stroke. Questions flowed, policy on relationships, equity splits, parental leave. They answered candidly, hands brushing, Aloan's coo punctuating laughs. As the session ended, applause swelled. genuine. And Aubrey felt the tide turn. Post-event drinks at a rooftop bar overlooking the Battery. The team toasted. To the Queens, Sophia said, raising her glass, her Miami tan glowing under string lights. To the Queendom, Lena added, winking at Aubrey. But euphoria cracked that night. An encrypted email hit Aubrey's inbox at midnight, from Victor. Attachments. Screenshots of Lena's old emails. Pre-heart. Pitching the algorithm to competitors. Proof she shopped it around before us. Leverage. Aubrey deleted it. Heart pounding. But sleep evaded. Victor. In exile. Clawing back. Was it bluff? Or did Lena hold back more secrets? Morning brought confrontation. Coffee steaming between them at the kitchen island. Did you pitch the code before me? Aubrey asked. Voice low. Aloan banging blocks nearby. Lena's face paled. What? No, wait. Yes. Once. To a startup in Seattle. Right after college. They ghosted. It was nothing. Nothing. Aubrey's voice rose. Victor has it. Says it's leverage. Lena stood. Pacing. That was 12 years ago. Before us. Why does it matter? Because secrets erode. Aubrey snapped. Like mine did to you. The parallel landed. And Lena stopped. Tears welling. Touché. But this is dredging graves. Let him bury himself. They called Dear Ellis emergently. Session via video. Aloan gurgling in the background. Old wound. The therapist noted. Victor's poking yours to widen his. Aubrey nodded. Screen reflecting her strain. How do we cauterize? By owning it. Lena interjected. Publicly. Pitched it young. Dumb. Chose you because it felt right. The statement dropped that afternoon. On early days and enduring choices. Lena's byline. Detailing the pitch as a footnote. Crediting Aubrey as the pivot that made it real. Apex's poach stalled. Talent returning sheepish. Victor went silent. His bluff called. October deepened. Leaves turning the park into a palette. Aubrey and Lena celebrated Aloan's first Halloween. Dressing her as a tiny investor in a suit onesie. Trick-or-treating brownstones. Laughter echoed. But Aubrey caught Lena's distant stares. Phone buzzing with non-profit demands. You're drifting, she said one night. Wine glasses clinking in the dim living room. Lena sighed. Swirling Cabernet. Not drifting. Growing. DC wants me for policy advisor. 6 months. Aubrey's glass paused midair. Again? This time. It's right. For Aloan. For change. You could. No. Aubrey set her glass down. Sharp. Not abandoning the firm. Again. The word again poisoned it. Evoking old betrayals. Lena's eyes flashed. It's not abandonment. It's evolution. You think I can shrink to fit your world forever? Aloan fussed from the nursery. Breaking the standoff. They tended her in tandem. Rocking the baby between them. Silence thick. Therapy unpacked it. Aubrey's fear rooted in loss, her father's absence. Mentors who vanished post-promotion. Lena's in erasure. The small-town girl who'd learned to shout to be heard. Compromise emerged. Lena takes DC. 3 months max. Video calls nightly. Alone alternating weeks. Aubrey hires a COO. Carves space. But DC tested it. First weeks. Calls crackled with static, literal and figurative. Lena's stories of Capitol Hill thrilled. But Aubrey's updates on board squabbles bored. I feel like a footnote. Aubrey confessed in a midnight call. Eloan asleep beside her. You're the chapter. Lena soothed. The whole damn book. Thanksgiving brought reunion. Lena flying in with turkey fixings. Eloan squealing at the airport. The apartment filled with scents of sage and pie. Friends gathering Jamal. Sophia. A queer collective from the firm. Toast to resilience. Hands under the table. Post-feast. They walked the park. Snow dusting paths. Lena pulled Aubrey behind an oak. Kissing her fiercely. Missed this. You. Missed us. Aubrey murmured. Hands in her hair. Winter holidays loomed. Plans for Oregon, Lena's family farm. A test of integration. But en route, a storm grounded them in Chicago, Aubrey's old stomping grounds. Stranded in a hotel near the Loop, they explored Millennium Park under twinkling lights, deep dish pizza in a dive. This city made me, Aubrey said over slices. Steam rising. Tough love. Lena licked sauce from her thumb. And you made her proud. New Year's Eve. Back in New York. They watched fireworks from the roof. Eloan bundled in their arms. Resolutions whispered. More presence. Less perfection. January thawed the chill. But Apex struck again, not poach, but sabotage. A data breach. Traced to an insider. Leaked client portfolios. Panic rippled. Stocks plunging. Aubrey convened crisis mode. Lena zooming from DC. Smells like Victor, she said. Face pixelated. Aubrey nodded. Eyes on screens. He's got nothing left. Desperate. Investigation pinned it. A disgruntled ex. Paid by Victor's shell. Arrests followed. Headlines flipping. Hartvoss duofoils sabotage. The win bonded them. Lena returning early. DC extended remotely. Spring bloomed. Eloan's first steps in the park. Aubrey's arm around Lena's waist. But May brought the gut punch. Lena's doctor call, early cancer scare. Biopsy pending. Routine. But shadows loomed. Aubrey held her in the exam room. Sterile air choking. We'll fight, she vowed. Lena squeezed her hand. Together. Biopsy benign. Relief flooding. But the scare etched deeper lines. Therapy shifting to mortality. Legacy. What do we leave alone? Lena asked one night. Stars visible from the terrace. A world remade. Aubrey said. Love without erasure. Summer circled back. Vermont calling. In the cabin. By the lake. They renewed vows not legal. But heartfelt. Rings exchanged from a jeweler in Portland. Yet as fireflies danced, Aubrey felt a stir. A new offer. Global expansion. Temptation whispered. Guard the heart. She reminded herself. The throne's empty without you. The benign biopsy was a reprieve. But it lingered like a bruise. Coloring every hug. Every glance. Aubrey threw herself into Heart Capital's global pivot. A Shanghai partnership. Tokyo Tech integrations, while Lena channeled the scare into her nonprofit, launching a cancer resource app for underserved queer communities. Eloan turned one amid balloons and cake, her chubby hands smashing frosting. The apartment alive with chaos and joy. But the rhythm faltered in July. Heat wave baking the city into torpor. Aubrey's trips multiplied. Week in London for investor meets. Days in Berlin scouting AI talent. Calls with Lena grew clipped. Eloan's FaceTime giggles the glue. "You're a ghost," Lena said over a staticky line from Frankfurt Airport. "We need you here. Not holograms." Aubrey pinched the bridge of her nose. Jet lag a hammer. 2 more weeks. Then Paris. Us time. Us time. Lena's laugh was edged. That's code for rescheduled. The accusation stung. True. Aubrey landed in New York exhausted. The apartment cool oasis. Eloan toddled to her. Arms up. And Aubrey scooped her. Inhaling baby shampoo. Lena watched from the kitchen. Arms crossed. "Welcome home," she said. No warmth. They made love that night. Urgent and reclaiming. But morning brought frost. Over coffee. Lena slid a folder across the table. DC permanent offer. Full policy role. Impact. Aubrey stared. Permanent. We set trial. Circumstances change. The scare. It clarified. I want roots. Not revolving doors. And I want you, Aubrey said. Voice cracking. Here. Lena's eyes softened. Then choose. Us over empire. The ultimatum echoed old fights. But deeper now. With Eloan napping nearby. Aubrey stormed out. Hailing a cab to the office. Skyline blurring through tears. Jamal found her in the boardroom. Staring at projections. Trouble? Everything. She admitted. She's leaving. For good. Maybe. He sat. Empathetic. Then go after her. Queens chase what matters. Sophia called from Miami. Expansion's gold. But burnouts kill. Delegate. Aubrey nodded. But inertia held. Therapy solo that week. Dear. Ellis probing. What's the real fear? Losing control. Aubrey confessed. Again. Like with the patents. Control's illusion. The therapist said. Surrender to love. Surrender. The word haunted her flight to DC. Unannounced. Heart and throat. Lena's row house in Georgetown glowed warm. Eloan visible through the window. Playing blocks. Lena opened the door. Surprise melting to wariness. Aubrey. Choose us, Aubrey said. Stepping in. No more ghosts. They talked till dawn. Eloan between them on the couch. Words weaving repair. Compromise. Lena takes DC part-time. Heart remote hybrids. Family sabbatical in fall. Relief bloomed. But August tested. Adex. Wounded but vengeful. Sued for unfair competition. Alleging Heart poached with insider threats. Victor testified. Smug on stands. Voss Heart monopoly. Queer cabal stifling innovation. Headlines sneered. Love or leverage. The tabloids feasted. Paparazzi staking the apartment. Aubrey faced it head-on. Press conference with Lena. This suits revenge, not justice. We're diverse. Yes, women. Queer. Visionary. That's strength, not conspiracy. The courtroom drag. Weeks of depositions. Alohan shuttled between sitters. One night, post-testimony, Lena broke in the hotel suite. I can't breathe here. The stares. The scrutiny. Aubrey pulled her close. Then we end it fast. Settle. But on our terms. They did. Apex folding under discovery of their own dirt. Victor's payoffs exposed fully. Settlement. Non-compete. Donation to Lena's nonprofit. Victor vanished to Florida. A footnote. Victory tasted bittersweet. The toll etched in gray hairs. Fall sabbatical. Montana ranch. Wide skies and wildflowers. They hiked with Alohan in a pack. Cooked over campfires. Stories unspooling. Aubrey shared Chicago scars. Mom's double shifts. Dad's ghost letters. Lena. Oregon isolation. Barnes's code labs. First loves lost to small minds. One evening. Under Milky Way. Lena said. The exposure saved us. Forced truth. Aubrey nodded. Head on her lap. And you saved me. Back in D.C. for Lena's policy push. Aubrey consulted remotely. Alohan thriving in daycare. Holidays in Oregon, Lena's folks. Weathered farmers. Welcoming with pie and questions. Meet Aubrey the storm. They laughed. Aubrey chopping wood. Feeling roots. New Year. 2026. Brought pregnancy news, not theirs, but Lena's sisters. A surrogate echo. Family swelled. Plans for a bigger place. But spring unearthed buried. An old email from Lena. Post-pitch rejection. To Aubrey, idea died. Sell my soul elsewhere? Aubrey found it archiving files. Heart sinking. Had Lena ever fully trusted? Confrontation gentle. Over brunch in Rock Creek Park. This? Aubrey showed the screen. Lena sighed. Dark day. But I chose you anyway. Enough? Aubrey pressed. Always was. Lena said. Kissing her. Doubts are human. Therapy affirms scars, not shackles. Summer 2026. Heart Global launch. Lena keynoting ethics panel. Alohan walks stages with them. Tiny heels clicking. Yet whispers persisted, apex remnants. New rivals eyeing fractures. Aubrey ignored. Focusing inward. One night. Storm raging. Alohan asleep. They danced in the living room to old jazz. Aubrey spun Lena. Dipping her. Forever. Renewed. Lena whispered. Daily. The dance wove them tighter. But outside. Thunder rolled, harbingers of tests ahead. The Montana skies had imprinted on Aubrey a vastness that dwarfed boardroom battles, reminding her that empires were ants to the universe. Back in the rhythm of D.C. and New York. With Alohan now a verbal whirlwind at 2. Life layered complexities like sedimentary rock. Lena's policy role bloomed into congressional briefings. Her voice shaping bills on digital equity. Aubrey's heart capital pivoted to impact investing. Green funds and microloans that echoed Lena's ethos. But the underbelly stirred. Late September. A whistleblower from Apex, ex-Victor ally, leaked docs alleging heart-fudged global projections, inflating Shanghai numbers to lure investors. CC Redux. but sharper, timed with midterm elections to taint Lena's work. Aubrey got the call at dawn. Lena's voice urgent from a Capitol Hill hotel. It's bad. They're linking it to my lobbying conflict of interest. Ari, half asleep in their Upper West Side bed, bolted up. Aloan stirred in her room down the hall. How? We audited everything. Desperation. Lena said. Victor's ghost. Maybe. Or someone inside. The investigation crashed in like a wave. Auditors swarmed Hart offices. Laptops seized. Aubrey and Lena lawyered up separately, her in New York, Lena in D.C. to shield policy cred. Press feasted from scandal to sham, Hartvoss under fire again. Protests reignited. Smaller but pointed fake feminists. Real fraud. Aubrey testified first. Midtown Federal building a sterile cage. Under oath, she detailed the projections conservative. Verified. But the whistleblower, a mousy analyst named Kyle Reed, took the stand next. Hart pressured us. Voss's code manipulated data. Lies. Aubrey see that post-session. To Jamal in the hall. He's bought. Lena's turn gutted her. Via video link. From a DC courtroom. Lena defended, my algorithms predict. Not prescribe. Any tweak was ethical. Transparent. Cross-exam. So your relationship biases decisions? The prosecutor pressed. Smirking. Objection. Lena's counsel barked. But damage seeped. Nights blurred hotel lobbies. Frantic calls. Aloan shuttled to Aubrey's mom's in Chicago for safety. One call. Lena broke. They're painting me as your puppet. I fought for voice. Now silenced again. Ari. In a sterile Marriott. Choked back sobs. This ends us. No. Lena fierce. Forges us. Dear. Ellis mediated remotely. This is betrayal amplified. External. But triggering internals. Aubrey unpacked in solo. The fear of taint. My ambition poisoning your purity. Lena solo. Resentment bubbling. Your world swallows mine. Joint session. Post-prelim. We choose daily. Dear. Ellis reminded. Today, we choose fight. They chorused. The break came mid-October. Audit cleared projections, but flagged minor code variances. Lena sold pitches. Archived sloppily. Whistleblower cracked under perjury probe. Paid by Apex holdouts. Victor's offshore cash. Arrests followed. Suits drop. Headlines flipping. Hartvoss vindicated. Corruption conspiracy unraveled. Relief washed. But scars itched. Lena resigned policy role. Burned. Back in New York full-time. She dove into the nonprofit. Alone in her shadow. Winter healed slow. Christmas in Chicago. Aubrey's mom, Evelyn, a retired teacher with warm hands and sharper wisdom, hosted. Over lax. She pulled Aubrey aside. That woman saved your soul. Baby. Don't squander. Aubrey nodded. Watching Lena chase Aloan through snow-dusted yards. I want. New Year in Oregon. Lena's parents farm aglow with lanterns. Her dad, grizzled Tom, clapped Aubrey's back. Storms make strong trees. Spring 2027 Hart thrived. Scandal a badge now. TED Talks on resilience. Books in outline. Aloan started preschool. Her drawings of two moms and a baby stick figure whirled. But June unearthed personal quake. A letter from Victor. Forwarded from Florida. Prison-bound. But truth. Lena knew about the patents early. Forgave. But leveraged in bed. Aubrey burned it. But doubt smoldered. Confrontation that night. Park bench under Linden's. Did you know? Before the exposure, Lena sighed. Eloan's hand in hers. Suspected. Hacked your email once. Saw drafts. Chose trust over proof. Chose wrong, Aubrey whispered. Chose love, Lena said. Flawed. But mine. Therapy excavated trust as muscle. Atrophied by secrets. They rebuilt weekly check-ins. No phone dinners. Vulnerability journals shared by firelight. Summer travels light. Austin Music Fest. Eloan dancing to blues. Aubrey proposed formally there. Under live oaks. Ring simple gold. Marry me. Not for show. For us. Lena teared. Yes on lips. Fall wedding small. Central Park boathouse. Queer choir singing. Eloan flower girl in tutu. Vows. I choose your shadows. Your light. Daily. Honeymoon in Louisiana bayous. Lazy days in a cabin. Nights on porches swapping stories. Aubrey. I was hollow before you. Lena. You filled me. Back. Life layered anew. Wedding glow fading to routine. But richer. Heart launched Voss initiative. Lena's code for good. Yet December whispered warning. Eloan sick. Fever spiking. Hospital nights. Aubrey holding tiny hand. Lena pacing. Benign virus. But terror bonded deeper. New Year 2028. Resolutions whispered over champagne presents. Play. Pause. The pause came forced. A global dip. Heart weathering. But layoffs loomed. Aubrey faced it. Downsizing with dignity. Voss fund for displaced. Lena proud. But who are you without the crown? Aubrey yours. Spring bloomed hope. Eloan recovered. Toddling parks. But shadows lengthened. Rival bids for heart assets. Old ghosts. Aubrey stood firm. Our story's ours. Rewrite it. The global dip deepened into recession by mid-2028. Wall Street's wolves circling heart capital like scavengers scenting weakness. Aubrey navigated it with surgical precision, strategic divestments. Voss initiative grants to laid-off staff. But the toll carved hollows under her eyes. Her once unyielding frame leaner. Lena noticed. Mornings over oatmeal with Eloan chattering about school. You're fading. Love. Aubrey forced a smile. Wiping syrup from Eloan's chin. Just the grind. Will emerge. But emergence felt distant. Rival bids poured in, soulless conglomerates offering buyouts. Whispers of hostile takeovers. Sophia. Now steadfast ally. Warned in a late-night call. They're betting on burnout. Sell. Or fight fire with fire. Fight? Aubrey said. But doubt not. The Queen's armor. Forged in secrecy. Now chafed. Lena pulled strings in DC remnants. Lobbying for stimulus that buoyed ethical firms. Their evenings stretched, Eloan bedtime stories. Then talks by the window. City lights a constellation of crises. One night. Storm lashing pains. Lena unearthed an old box from storage. Letters from their San Francisco days. Scribbled on napkins. Code snippets intertwine with love notes. Remember this? She held a faded page. Algorithm V1. For the woman who sees patterns in chaos. Aubrey traced the ink. Tears pricking. We were dreamers. Lena corrected. Kissing her temple. Dream bigger. Sell the throne. Build something ours. The idea germinated. Spin off Heart into a boutique. Ethical advisory. Voss Heart branded. Lean and legacy focused. No empires. Just impact. Boardbach. Victor's echo and holdouts. Reckless. You're diluting the brand. Sophia swayed them, evolving it. Vote passed narrow. And the announcement rocked markets. Heart Capital reimagines, from powerhouse to purpose. Headlines mixed. Bold pivot or bitter retreat. But clients followed. Drawn to authenticity. Fall brought harvest. Boutique launch in a Soho loft. Open house with queer artists. Aloan unveiling a plaque. Lena toasted to truths exposed. Fortunes redefined. Winter wrapped them gentle. Oregon Christmas. Farm snowed in. Stories by Hearth. Aubrey's mom joined. Evelyn hugging Lena. Family now. Aloan. 3 and fierce. Asked, Mommy Aubrey. Were you a queen? Aubrey knelt. Hazel eyes meeting blue. Once. But queens get lonely. Now, I'm just yours. Spring 2029, the boutique thrived. Advisory to startups. Lena's app scaling global. They traveled light, Vermont cabin weekends. Aloan fishing with Tom. But reckoning called. Victor. Paroled early. Reached out, coffee? Closure. Aubrey met him in a midtown diner. Neutral ground. Grayer. Shrunken. He stirred coffee. I was wrong. Jealous. You built what I couldn't. Aubrey nodded. No venom. And lost what mattered. Learn from ruins. He did. Anonymously funding Lena's nonprofit. A quiet amends. Summer solstice. They renewed in Portland. Circle of friends under evergreens. Aloan scattered petals. Vows updated through exposures. We endure. Fall leaves turned. Aloan started kindergarten. Backpack dwarfing her. Drop off tears Aubrey's. Not hers. Lena wiping milestones hurt sweet. One evening. Terrace sunset. Lena handed Aubrey a thumb drive. New code. Our code. For whatever next. Aubrey plugged it in later. Lines unfolding. A predictive model for joy. Not just markets. Patterns in laughter. In love. Thanksgiving. Chicago. Evelyn's table groaned. Toasts to healing. Aubrey watched Lena with Aloan. Heart full. The fortune was never money. Winter deepened. New Year's Eve rooftop. Snow falling soft. Fireworks burst. Aloan asleep inside. Lena leaned in. Regrets? Aubrey kissed her. Slow. None. You exposed the truth. I built the lie. Together. We made grace. Spring 2030, boutique expanded. Team diverse, young queers coding change. Aloan drew families. 2 moms central. A health scare revisited. Lena's routine scan flagged. But clear. They celebrated with ice cream. Aloan sticky. All better. Yet. Aubrey said. Hugging tight. All. Summer road trip Montana again. Skies infinite. By campfire. Stories circled San Francisco sparks, New York storms, DC dawns. Fall brought book deal, their story. Co-authored. Raw and redemptive. Title, Exposed Fortunes, A Love in Ledgers. Launch reading. Packed house. Aloan on lap reciting dedications. Applause thundered. But Aubrey's eyes on Lena, our hook. Our end. Winter solstice. Oregon farm. Lights twinkling. Aloan asks stars what next? Mommies. Lena. Adventure. Aubreyus. The snow fell. They danced slow. Aloan giggling between. The queen had fallen. But in ruins. A realm rose human. Ho. Theirs. Years layered. Aloan grew. Fierce like them. College-bound dreamer. Aubrey and Lena. Silver-threaded. Advised from shadows. Non-profit empire's quiet giants. One dawn. Central Park bench. Coffee steaming. Worth the exposure? Lena asked. Aubrey laced fingers. Every scar. Sunrose. Gilding leaves. Their story etched in light. Dramatic fall. Romantic rise. Humanistic hold. Love. Unthroned. Eternal.